Hi everyone, so now we are subtracting linear expressions. So for this first try it problem, we have m minus 3 subtract negative m plus 12. And there's really a 1 in front of this second linear expression, so we're subtracting 1 negative m plus 12. And so when we're subtracting, we have to subtract negative 1 of the first term and the second term. So we can do what's called distribute this negative 1 to each term. And we do that by multiplying each term by negative 1. So we can just simply rewrite the first term expression, m minus 3, and then we're subtracting negative m. So we all know when we subtract a negative, it's the same as adding, or we can write plus m. So you can think about it as multiplying negative 1 times negative m to get that plus m I just wrote down there. And now we're subtracting positive 12, so I just write minus 12, because when you're subtracting a positive, that's just the same thing as subtracting. Okay, now I can rearrange my terms. I'll put like terms next to each other so it's easier to see. So I'll put my m's next to each other and my constants next to each other. Okay, well, m plus m is 2m because there's really a 1 in front of this m and a 1 in front of that m. So if we have 1 plus 1 of anything, it equals 2 of that anything. And then we have negative 3 minus 12, which is negative 15. And we just write that by writing minus 15. So for our first try out problem number 5, that gets simplified into 2m minus 15. So that was the horizontal method. We can do this with the vertical method too, which I will show you. So if we have, let's do vertical. If we have m minus 3, and then we're subtracting negative m plus 12. I can line those up vertically, and I might rewrite this as m minus 3, because when we do this subtracting this negative m here, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding, or a positive, so I might write it as plus m, and then subtracting a positive 12 is the same thing as just going minus 12. So I'm going to convert this vertical expression into this second vertical expression. So now we have 1m plus m, 1m again is 2m, and then negative 3 minus 12 is negative 15. So we get the same answer no matter how we do it. We just have to be really careful when we're subtracting linear expressions that if we're subtracting a negative, we have to remember it's the same as adding. All right, now let's go on to the next one, which was up here. So I'm just going to erase some of this real quick to get it out of the way. Whoops, undo. I didn't want to clear the whole canvas. Okay, so this is our next one we are working with. So we have, let's do it horizontally first. Negative 2c plus 5. And then we're subtracting 6.3c plus 20. Okay, so there is really like, we're subtracting 1 of 6.3c plus 20. And the reason that's important, because although it doesn't really change anything for us now, eventually there'll be other numbers besides an invisible 1 right there, which will be important. So when we're subtracting this, we're subtracting 1, 6.3c, and then we're subtracting 1 times 20. So I can rewrite this as negative 2c plus 5 minus 6.3c, because I multiply 6.3c by negative 1, and then also minus 20 because I distribute this negative over to the 20. So I can do that by doing negative 1 times 20 or just showing it as subtract 20. All right, and now I can rearrange and put my like terms together. So I'm going to put my c's together. And when I move this 6.3c next to the other c, I keep the sign in front of it. So the sign in front of any variable sticks with it as you're moving these different things around. So that's why I moved the subtraction sign with the 6.3c. All right, then we add 5 and we subtract 20. Okay, well, negative 2 of something minus 6.3 of that same something is negative 8.3 of that something, which in this case is c. And then we do our constants for our like terms. 5 minus 20 is negative 15. And so I can rewrite this as negative 8.3c minus 15. And so that would be our final answer when simplified. All right, let's show the vertical method. We'll get the same answer. Just a different method of doing it. So we have negative 2c plus 5, and then we're subtracting 6.3c plus 20. So this subtraction sign gets distributed to each term. So I can rewrite this as negative 2c plus 5. And so subtracting a positive 6.3 is just like minus 6.3c. And then subtracting a positive 20, it's like doing minus 20. So now we can add our like terms up. I was careful to line up my like terms here. So negative 2 minus 6.3 is negative 8. And then 5 minus 20 is negative 15. So we get the same answer. You just have to remember when you're subtracting something, you're subtracting both terms. All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me or come to my office hours. Thank you so much.